All right, good morning. This meeting of the Escambia County Planning Board for September 9th, 2025 is hereby called to order with 6 members present, 5 voting members. We do have a quorum. Just a reminder to turn off your electronic devices or put on silent mode. If you would, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, good stuff. Do we have proof of publication?
Yes, sir.
Did it meet all legal requirements?
Yes, sir.
I'll entertain a motion to waive the reading of the legal advertisement.
Motion.
Got a motion and a second? Second. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Motion carries. The planning board meeting minutes for August 5th, 2025 have been provided to the board. I'll entertain a motion to accept the meeting minutes into evidence. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries. The planning board hearing package for September 9th, 2025 has been provided to the board members. I'll entertain a motion to accept the planning board hearing package and legal advertisement into evidence. Do I have a motion? So moved. Do I have a second? All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, and we do now have another board member here with us. So we're up to 7 board members. Okay. We have 2 public hearings on the agenda today. The first is a public hearing concerning the review of an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 5, Section 2-5.7 to designate an administrative authority for plat and replat approvals. That the board review and recommend to the BCC for adoption an ordinance amending Escambia County Land Development Code, LDC, Volume 1, Chapter 2, Article 5, Section 2-5.7, final plats to designate the Director of Development Services as the administrative authority for plat and replat approvals pursuant to Senate Bill number 784 from 2025 for compliance with state platting requirements. Staff, turn it over to you. Is your mic on? Okay.
Thank you. Good morning, Planning Board members, Chairman. This is a fairly straightforward mandated new law that is basically implemented on July 25th. The state legislature basically doing a legislative session, but it really came into effect. Senate Bill 784. Changing the final plat procedures for acceptance of final plats. July 25th, that's when it became the rule of law. And very, very quickly, very quick, they changed the rules. We're now an administrative authority other than the BCC. And the old Land Development Code, the old way, the BCC was the final authority to approve all final plats. Now, that way, everything was built, everything was in, all the infrastructure. The staff did its job. The board just only came and said, yes, sign off, because the subdivision infrastructure was already built. So basically, they changing that process. As far as it getting to this point, everything is already going to be reviewed, in place, and approved, but they just designate, they just change it by rule of law, the state statute, that the planning, that the administrative authority will be approving those final plats. And the resolution was already made August the 7th by the BCC designating me to be the planning official, designated planning official to basically just sign up so the plats are in compliance with all the development codes and everything is in place, everything is on there. So we have a very, very orderly, succinct process in order to get to that point. It's just changing the final sign-off. And that state legislator is new. Many other counties are still going to the point where we're ahead of the game because we already have some things in place. So that's it in a nutshell. And we're just changing the Land Development Code to be consistent with the state law.
Board, are there any questions for staff?
Putting the heat on you, right?
Well, no, not really, not necessarily, because I'm saying that because everything gotta be in place, all of the subject matter experts, the engineering department, Mr. Blanchard, everything, the county engineer, the surveying guys, the surveying crew, their staff, gonna have to go through a normal process, the same process, the board just blesses it and says it's good, everything already in place and built, and they just start ready going to permitting, to the vertical construction, but everything's already in place, already been approved by those authorities that are in place.
If I read that correctly, you can also designate that authority as well, so you could send it down to a subordinate if need be.
If needed, if necessary. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
May I add something? This would match a previous county resolution designating the Director of Development Services as the official responsible for approving final plats. The state gave several options, including the county administrator, senior officials at the county would be eligible, and the county decided to designate via resolution Director of Development Services. This will require that within 7 business days of receiving a final plat, Director of Development Services shall issue written acknowledgement receipt, identify any deficiencies within that 7-day period. If it's determined incomplete or non-compliant, administrative authority shall issue a written denial stating the reasons why. No application shall be required to submit a request for time extension in order to address deficiencies identified within that 7-day period. The requirements for final plats are set forth by statute in Chapter 177.091, and these are administrative decisions because there's not a lot of discretion involved, which is what makes it appropriate for it to be an administrative decision. And that outlines the requirements for plats made for recording and the process that we have to follow. So we're doing nothing other than the statute requires, and by designating Porus or Director of Development Services, as well as what criteria he's looking at.
All right. Are there any further questions from staff or for staff from the board? All right. And do we have any members of the public that would like to speak on this item? I see one member of the public. Don't want to skip out on you, Mr. Kerb. And you can fill it out afterwards if we. Is it working?
There we go.
Okay, and then just state your name and address for the record, and we'll start your time.
Chris Kerb, I'm with Flood Defenders. I live in Crescent Lake, Somerset Drive. I'll be honest with you, I didn't look at this till first thing this morning. And this is about Senate Bill 784, which I think is an overreach of our state legislation to basically give recording final plats to your planning director. Is that correct?
That's an administrative authority, but the resolution designates development services.
You know, the problem with that is you're fixing to create a big demand in the state of Florida for development services directors because the county commissioners are going to get upset when you make a decision that they don't like. Am I correct in that?
It's state law, Chris.
I get it. State law don't mean it's always right. They got also Senate Bill 180 that takes away your home rule, which is exactly what this does too. I will be mentioning that at the Escambia County Legislative Delegation this evening, among a few other things that I've got up here and spoke on. But I didn't really go through the complete ordinance or have any suggestions to it. I know it's state law and you have to do it unless you want to fight the state. And there's a whole bunch of counties right now that have grouped together, and they're fighting the state over Senate Bill 180. I'll leave it at that. Go ahead and do what you got to do.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you for serving up here. I know y'all don't really get paid for this, so Thank you for your service.
Sir. All right, if there's no further comments from the public or questions for staff, I'll entertain a motion for the public hearing we've got.
Move to approve.
We've got a motion to approve. Is there a second to the motion?
Not really sure we have an option.
Yeah, I mean, we don't
have an option.
I will say this is state law, guys. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I won't die on the hill on this one. I mean, I do believe in our development services director, so, but yeah, no, this is state law. We really don't have an option. So, I mean, if that's the case, I'll second it.
All right, we've got a motion for approval and a second. Any discussion on the motion itself? If not, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Okay, motion carries. Our second public hearing concerning the review of an ordinance amending the Escambia County Comprehensive Plan to extend the planning horizon from 2030 to 2040, amending Chapter 10 Infrastructure Element and amending Chapter 15 Capital Improvements Element. The board review and recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to review and transmit to the Department of Economic Opportunity an ordinance amending the Escambia County Comprehensive Plan to extend the planning horizon from 2030 to 2040 pursuant to Section 163.31771 Florida statutes, amending Chapter 10 Infrastructure Element to add a policy addressing the feasibility of providing sanitary sewer service to certain residential developments using on-site sewage treatment and disposal systems, and amending Chapter 15 Capital Improvements Element to add a policy requiring the listing of projects necessary to meet total maximum daily load TMDL pollutant reductions. Staff, do you have a presentation on this at all?
I'm going to just open it up again. These are state law, state rules and state laws that we must get in place, regarding some state statutes and things that basically that were already approved, but now we're to the point where we got to get these things in place as well. We're going to be amending the comprehensive plan as well. So we're going to change the planning horizon as what part of the state law. There we're going to be adding some things regarding some sewer and capital improvement projects legislation that we have to approve as well. And Chris is going to basically proceed with that with further explanation on those rules.
Sure, so these came about because they were identified by the state in our evaluation and appraisal report, which is done every few years by the state to make sure our comprehensive plan is consistent with state law. They identified a couple deficiencies within our comprehensive plan. One was the planning horizon. We need to shift another 10 years out, which is the cause for shifting it from 2030 to 2040, as well as a feasibility analysis that was required by the state in 2023. This requires collaboration with ECUA on a feasibility analysis for existing and new developments for certain types of developments. Any development more than 50 residential lots, whether built or unbuilt, with more than one on-site sewage treatment and disposal system per 1 acre. The county, in coordination with ECUA, shall consider feasibility of providing sanitary service within 10-year planning horizon. This is almost verbatim with the state statute. We're a little bit different because ECUA is a independent special district versus that's relatively rare in the state of Florida. So we'll have to collaborate with them, and staff has had meetings with ECUA. They're on board with the changes and the feasibility analysis that is required by the state statute. The final piece is our pollutant load projects. This is another piece that's required in that 2023 legislation. It's a list of sanitary sewer service projects in the 5-year capital improvement for increased capacity or upgrade of treatment required to achieve the pollutant load reductions attributable to the county. There's no current projects listed in this that have been identified by our staff. Should there be a project, it would be listed and updated annually as necessary if there are projects that impact it. But this is language that's required by the state statutes to be in our comprehensive plan.
All right, any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, do we have any members of the public that would like to speak on the item? All right. We have no speakers for this item. We've got no speakers, no questions from the board, so I'll entertain a motion at this time. We've got a motion to approve. Is there a second? We've got a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Okay, motion carries. That is our last item on our agenda today. Anything from staff before we adjourn?
Our next meeting in October, we'll have 2 rezonings and 1 small scale. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I do have a quick question for staff. There's an unnormal amount of withdrawals from last, on our report for what's been going on. Why are these, after our approval, are they being withdrawn for BCC? Is there any insight on those?
It's not because any actions of something. Most of them are at the request of the developer or the request of the property owner. And that's especially the last one that we had, that was at the request of the developer on their feasibility analysis of going forward with the project.
Okay. Yep. All right, if there's nothing else, we stand adjourned and we'll be back October 7th. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, oh yeah, easily, because the thing was in place. Absolutely. Yeah, so Chris. Do me a favor, Rich. Send Chris a copy of the Cypress Hollow resolution that we did, and Chris, that's what we need to incorporate some of those about the public infrastructure and the right of way. How you want to word those into this ordinance.